I know for you it was long COVID, and forgive me if I'll branch it out. Yes, there are a
No.
lot of people, millions of people still suffering from long COVID, and they may not have smell and taste issues. Theirs may be brain fog or
Right.
dizziness with standing or
Hmm.
gut issues or not sweating, temperature intolerance. I can't stand hot, can't stand colds. But I promise you, there are hundreds of millions of others that are suffering from autoimmune. And I
Oh,
am
there.
totally,
I know so many people. Yeah.
I, in this, I'll probably get, totally ripped by a lot of physicians out there. I am totally convinced myself, this is just the opinion of
Hmm.
David, okay,
Yep.
is that the root cause of our autoimmune disease is this imbalance of the sympathetic system.
What's up, Camden County? You're catching a bonus episode of the Getting in Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Alison Shores from the Camden County Chamber of Commerce. And guys, I'm going to get a little personal on you today with something that I went through. And I kind of wanted you guys to know about it because I've had a ton of people from the community asking me about what I did to help my taste and smell after long COVID. So I've brought a guest on today who's going to tell you all about what the procedure that he did. And so just so you guys, for anybody that's not aware, during COVID, I got COVID, lost my taste and smell, came back as a garlic taste, and I kind of got through that okay. But when I got COVID again, it turned to a sewer taste and smell in my mouth. I could not take it. And I lost a ton of weight and I felt like, honestly, like I was dying. I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor. If there was a trick and tip that you saw on the internet, I probably did it. I went to any doctor I could think that could possibly help me, and nothing. I got no relief whatsoever. And my father came across a girl that had gone out to Texas and gotten this shot to reset her vagus nerve. And I was like, put me on a plane. Let's do it. Let's see what happens. And I did. And most of you, if you know me, you know that it changed my life, that I was a completely different person when I came back. And so I want to talk today about the procedure that I had done because so many people in our community have asked me. So I wanted to take today to kind of talk about it because I can't speak in the terms that you can, David. So without any further ado, I guess. This is David Gaskin. So, David Gaskin, you are from Republic Pain Specialist, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about you first and what you do, and then we'll get into the vagus nerve reset and what all I did because I don't know the technical terms of it.
Yeah. Well, thank you I'll say thank you and Allison, one, for coming and trusting, me here at Republic and us at Republic for in your care. Sometimes that's a scary thing to go across the country to people you're not familiar with. But thank you for having me on and allowing us to talk about this because I think it's really affecting millions and millions of people that they may not even realize what's happening
Mm-hmm.
to them. Okay. But a little bit about myself. I am anesthesia trained. I'm not a physician, so I don't want to present myself as one. So first thing I need you to know is I'm not a physician. I'm an advanced practice nurse.
Okay.
I'm a CRNA by trade, I guess. I'm a certified registered nurse anesthetist. So I gave anesthesia, right,
Okay.
for 22 years. I think I started giving anesthesia in 1998.
Oh,
So I was
wow.
board certified in anesthesia, started giving anesthesia. Being a chronic pain patient myself and having multiple surgeries, I really got infatuated with pain and how would we treat pain. Obviously, in the anesthesia world, we're trying to treat pain on that acute setting of surgery, but that chronic pain that we have ongoing for months or years was a new concept, and I really wanted to know more about it. I went back in 2017 and did a fellowship in chronic pain and became board certified in um, pain management. So
Okay.
acute pain or more chronic pain management. So it's not very common for CRNAs to do pain management. I think I was literally one of the first 50 in America to be board certified in both
Oh, wow.
pain management and anesthesia. So I started my own practice in pain in 2019, opened my practice in 19, and just started hoping people would trust me a little bit and see if we could help them. And so it's kind of where I got started there.
Awesome. Wow, I didn't even know all that. So, okay. So, how did you stumble upon the vagus nerve and how did that come about that you started treating long COVID patients? And before you answer that, I do want to say this. I went to you for taste and smell, but what happened to me, and I didn't know that it could do anything else, but I'm going to tell you that depression, anxiety, all the things that I had been feeling left my body when I got this shot. So I'm long COVID symptoms that we're still finding more and more symptoms that are related to COVID. So I just want to say this is not just for taste and smell. It is for long COVID symptoms in general. But how did you get here? How did you figure out that this would help like taste and smell and other symptoms we're having with how did that happen?
I know it doesn't seem like it should work. So the first thing I'll say is that I'm not that smart. I think I told you, I say this to almost all people. I didn't think of this. I was simply replicating and repeating what had been published in the literature. I want to give total credit. A Dr. Luke Liu, Lui, in Anchorage, Alaska, published what we call a case study, which he just reported on. I did this happened, so it's like a 1-page type report of what happened. It's not really blinded. It's not really, placeboed. It's just, hey, I did this happened. Okay. Y'all take it for what it's worth. Dr. Liu published on 2 people, long COVID patients, that he did a stellate ganglion block on. Okay. And
say that one more time for everybody, because that's a lot.
It is a stellate ganglion. Okay. If you give me a little, how much time do you got? Okay.
Hey, I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Okay. So I really think it does matter understanding the anatomy, what's going on in your body to understand how, an injection in our neck could improve anxiety, depression, smell, taste, gut issues, racing heart, high blood pressure, diabetes, anything like this. Okay. So let's do a little anatomy lesson. Okay. Really, really generalized, but we'll try to, narrow it down. You have parts of your nervous system. So we're just talking about nerves all over our body. You have a central nervous system, which is our brain and our spinal cord, because it's central to the body. So we just call it the central nervous system. Okay. Every nerve that comes off of our spinal cord now becomes our peripheral nervous system. Okay. So it's outside of central, not really ingenious in the naming. Okay. But so now we have all these nerves outside of the central. Some of those nerves are what we call motor nerves. So they let me control motor movement, right? Okay. Muscles and tendons. So that I can walk, that I can talk, that I can blink, anything like that, that's our motor, okay, our somatic nervous system, okay? You have a sensory nervous system that lets me feel when I'm cold or when I'm hot, right? I didn't have to touch anything. I didn't really control motor, but I could feel sensations, your sight, smell, taste, you're sensing something, hearing. But so you have a sensory nervous system. You have another nervous system that nobody really ever thinks about, but we call it your autonomic nervous system. Okay. So the autonomic nervous system is, again, they're not ingenious in their naming. It's automatic. It's the things that happen in the body that are totally, completely automatic to how our body functions. Okay. Right? Why does my heart beat at 60 beats a minute, or does it beat at 80 beats a minute? Okay. Why do I breathe 12 times a minute? Why do I breathe 20 times a minute? Why does my gut has peristalsis and I need to go poop now? All these things happen. What's my blood pressure? Why do I sweat? Why do I shiver? Anything that happens, why do I salivate if I smell something good, right? All of these things are happening in our body every moment of the day and night, but we don't consciously control them. Meaning I can't control my heart rate. I can't control my respiratory. I can't control peristalsis of my gut, blood pressure. I can't control those things consciously. And therefore, most of those things fall under our autonomic system. Okay?
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's everything from hormone releases to
Uh-huh.
vascular control, blood pressure. It's enormous, okay, of
Yeah.
what the autonomic system does for our bodies to kind of keep us moving
Hmm.
in the background, so to speak, without us
Hmm.
thinking about it. That autonomic system, and this is the last segment of an anatomy lesson for y'all. So the autonomic system is composed of two systems, a sympathetic nervous system and a parasympathetic nervous system. Your para is Latin. The root word para, P-A-R-A, is in Latin means part of. And so just by the naming of
Hmm.
the parasympathetic system, it tells you it's a smaller, less part of the much bigger
Hmm.
sympathetic nervous system.
Hmm.
Okay. Your sympathetic nervous system has a kind of a generic name. We call it the fight or flight nervous
Yeah.
system.
Hmm.
Okay. The parasympathetic nervous system is called rest and digest system. So it's really controlled, has control of our sleep patterns and our gut, how
Hmm.
we digest and digestion. So the the body works to balance these two systems to produce what the medical world calls homeostasis, right? When we're in balance, okay?
Okay.
When we fall asleep at night and we sleep for 7 or 8 hours, we wake
Yeah.
up rested. Now we're awake and we're ready to go and tackle the day. That was a parasympathetic. Now we're moving into sympathetic. So this balance, when I go from laying in bed and I stand up and take off, that I don't get dizzy when I stand. That's simply the cardiac and vascular system coordinating together so that my blood pressure stays exactly the same pressure so that I don't pass out when I stand up. My blood pressure drop. You see what I mean? So all of these
Yeah.
things work without us thinking,
Hmm.
moment by moment, a million times a day, 10 million times a moment. It's just crazy when you start contemplating all the things it does for us. Imbalance of that system creates disease. And that's the most simple way to look at this. An imbalance of those two systems
Hmm.
that are fluctuating back and forth to create homeostasis in the body. When we have an imbalance of those two systems, now we start recognizing or seeing pathology or symptomology or disease. Okay.
Okay.
The longer it's left, then it becomes really detrimental. It's never that we are in a parasympathetic overactivation. And I'll correct you if I can. I know you've used the word vagus a couple of
Yeah.
times.
I'm sorry.
The That's okay. That's okay. This is why we talk about it. The primary nerve, and remember, para is much smaller than the sympathetic
Hmm.
system. The parasympathetic system only incorporates or consists of four nerves in the body: cranial nerve 3, 7, 9, and 10. So there's only four nerves that make up the parasympathetic nervous system. Every other nerve of the autonomic system is of the sympathetic system.
Mm. Okay.
Cranial nerve 10 is the vagus. So the vagus, it is a rather large nerve, and I think it's considered the largest nerve of the body.
I'm losing it again.
So it incorporates and reaches a lot of things, but it's predominantly or exclusively on the parasympathetic side or rest and digest side. Okay.
Okay.
Disease happens when we're in an overactivated sympathetic. Okay. And now you're talking about literally thousands and thousands of different nerves, hundreds of thousands of different nerves
Hmm.
throughout the body. When the body detects, now let's talk about this. What is the role of the sympathetic system? The sympathetic system's role, that fight or flight, is total protection. Its role is if it detects some threat to the
Yeah.
body, to the entity of Alison, okay,
Yeah.
will mount a sympathetic response, okay? And all those hundreds of thousands of nerves, whether they're hormones, whether they're vasculature, cardiac, respiratory, all of these different neurotransmitters, they get spun up
Hmm.
and get sent out to try to protect you in times of threat. Okay.
Okay.
That immediately And let's take the example of COVID. What
Mm-hmm.
hit you?
Yeah.
Your body detected a threat.
Mm-hmm.
The virus, the COVID virus, was certainly a threat, killed millions and millions of people all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when your body detected a foreign entity, a threat, it mounted a nervous system response. That was a very high sympathetic fight or flight response. Immediately, your body needed to mount an immune response to go attack the virus and get rid of it. Those cells that the immune system sent out are called cytokines, or inflammatory cells. These
Okay.
inflammation is actually how the body protects you and helps. Actually, is part of the healing process. We need inflammation to try to produce healing, right? You're
Okay.
done with it.
Now, I've never thought of it that way, but okay.
All right. I'll give you another example. Let's say you go for a run. You look like a runner. You go for a
Mm-hmm.
little run, and you and you trip on something and you twist your ankle.
Yeah.
The first thing that happens when you recognize I fell was, oh, that hurt. Ouch,
Yeah.
right? Pain.
Yeah.
So pain is a neuronal nervous system response that hurt. It
Mm-hmm.
warned me of something damaged, something, my body's not perfect, something's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now I have a nervous system response. Within within minutes, seconds to minutes, your ankle starts swelling, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's inflammation, right? So nervous system got triggered, told me I was hurt, I was in danger, immediately triggered my immune system, and within seconds it was sending out inflammatory cells all the way down to my ankle and made my
To
ankle well
protect.
to try to start the healing process. It was already starting the healing process.
Huh. I've never thought about inflammation that way.
I know we always think of it as painful, that it's
Yeah. And it's
and
bad.
again,
And it's, all the things.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. Yeah, the more inflammation we have, the more pain we have. And so, what do we tell you when you twist that ankle? If you go talk to your doctor or see somebody, we say, "Well, I need you to elevate it,
Mm-hmm.
get it up, let it drain. I need you to
Stay
put some
off of
ice on
it.
it,
Yeah.
rest it, take some anti-inflammatories, a little ibuprofen
Yeah.
or a little Aleve, something like that." So we're trying to stop that inflammatory process, or at least reduce it so that it's not too painful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is where disease comes in, or where the real problems occur. If you did not elevate that foot, if you did not rest it, if you did not put ice on it and take anti-inflammatories, you kept walking on it, you kept it down, it's going to swell more. The more it swells, the more pain you cause. The more pain you cause, the more it triggers your immune system, the more the immune system sends out more inflammatory cells, and you keep the cycle moving. You keep it in what the literature describes. The medical literature has written about this process. This is kind of like how the body works.
Yeah.
This is physiology. That's a positive feedback loop between your nervous system, your immune system, and essentially a inflammatory state of the body, or an over hyper-inflammatory state of the body.
Okay.
That hyperinflammatory state repeats the cycle, re-triggers your sympathetic triggers immune sends out more inflammation, and we just stay in this revolving door of that nervous immune inflammatory response of the body. If you can't break that cycle, as that progresses and stays activated over time, now we start seeing autoimmune disease.
Huh.
That's essentially where your autoimmune diseases are. It is where your autoimmune diseases are. There can be other reasons why the sympathetic got triggered. Do you develop antibodies, and is there something sitting there that continues to trigger the sympathetic? But that's why they call it autoimmune. Is your autonomic sympathetic system is triggering your immune system to send out inflammation, but it's usually not. There's not a reason, a pathological reason in the body why that inflammation is, say, going to our joints, and now we have rheumatoid arthritis.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So when you do this procedure, this you're essentially resetting that. like I'm assuming that like with my problem with long COVID, so I guess my body just stayed in fight or flight mode. Like,
Exactly.
and so I had to interrupt that process to get healing started. I get, is that, am I
It's
following?
exactly
Okay.
right. You're exactly right.
Okay.
All we did, the sympathetic nervous system, all those hundreds of thousands, millions of nerves are feeding into one
Mm-hmm.
location, very close to the spinal canal, the column, the spine, and they're coming together and moving up and feeding the brain with information, right? Am I hot?
Okay.
Am I cold? What's
Mm-hmm.
my hormone levels? What's,
Mm-hmm.
everything like that, right? What's my blood pressure? All
Yeah.
those things. So that's the sympathetic, what we call the sympathetic chain. So, and there's little ganglion. A ganglion is simply a cluster of nerves where many nerves came together to
Mm-hmm.
one. It moved up a little level, and then more nerves came together and then moved up a little level. So we call it the sympathetic chain because it looks like little bulbs of ganglion when
Yeah.
you open the body up, and it's on each side of our spine, kind of in the front. We believe, and the evidence is, you're a perfect example of this, is that so many of our diseases are due to this overactivated sympathetic response in the body. The body can't break itself out of that loop. It's called a positive feedback loop.
Mm-hmm.
So many of our autoimmune diseases are like this. Long COVID is nothing more than an overactivated fight or flight response that the body can't break itself out of.
And but with that, it has so many, it presents itself in so many ways that that's happening. Like you have the loss of taste and smell, but there's also the anxiety. Like I had anxiety and I had never had anxiety before. So for me, it was like, I didn't even realize that was a part of long COVID. Does that make sense? Like
Sure.
I
Yeah.
think it wasn't until I got it the third time that I figured out where the anxiety was coming from. But I mean, it kept me like a ball of just like constant. I was not fun to be around. And if anybody was around me during that time, you guys know, I was a hot mess. And so, but I couldn't get out of it. And I knew it wasn't myself, but I was extremely, I think the depression set in after that. So anyway, what is it with long COVID that's making it stay in that loop? Like, what is it
Yeah.
with that and not other things?
There's there's several theories of what is it with this viral infection that is producing all this perpetual loop.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there are some people that believe, or there's a theory out there. I don't know that I don't personally. I don't know if I know enough about it to say why, but there's theories that what they call viral almost seeding, that
Okay.
there's pieces of the virus that are still roaming around in our body,
Mm-hmm.
maybe undetectable, even though we do blood tests and we can't really find any of the virus still there. But are there pieces of the virus that are stuck in our body somewhere, and now it's that piece is still triggering this sympathetic response.
Right.
Um, has it actually reached the brain and causing effects? The virus itself, cellular on the cellular level, reached past the blood-brain barrier and reached the nerves of the hypothalamus and causing a disruption in the hypothalamus. Um, there's it's called viral mimicking. There's a
Mm-hmm.
theory that maybe it's altered some of our neurotransmitters. The virus changed something, and so
Yeah.
while the virus is no longer there, there are other cells that are mimicking the viral reaction and creating this autoimmune response. So there's multiple theories out there. There's one with the renin-angiotensin system. It gets really deep, on a cellular level of what we think is happening.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that there's been other viruses are producing this symptoms. It's not it's sorry about that. It's not always just sorry about that.
It's okay.
Just the COVID virus.
Oh,
Epstein-Barr has been
yeah.
causing autoimmune disease for decades and decades, right? So,
And a lot of people have Epstein-Barr in their body. It may be dormant. Isn't Epstein-Barr from mono?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You
So,
know?
because I had that, I had Epstein-Barr, and when I was younger, was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and stuff. So I get it. Yeah, makes sense.
So that's very interesting if you let me expand on that.
Yes, please
So
go, go.
the a lot of the literature believes that there is a preload of our
Hmm.
system, our sympathetic system, a priming or a preload. A Dr. Tracy, I believe is right. I believe Dr. Tracy 20 years ago described it as a first strike, second strike event that we got a virus or we had an illness,
Hmm.
we had a psychological trauma will cause the same response in the body, right?
Hmm.
If I'm in a near death experience, my body will activate my sympathetic nervous system. So whether it's psychological or physical, viral infection, car accident, broke my back,
Yeah.
right? All of these things are triggering our sympathetic system, starting the cycle.
Hmm.
Maybe we brought ourselves out of it. You know, you
Yeah.
overcame mono. It took you a year or two. It
Yeah.
took a long time to
Hmm.
get your body over it, but your body was now primed and preloaded. You were in a first strike event. You'd already experienced first strike event.
Hmm.
Then when you caught COVID, you now experienced second strike event, and the second strike was what threw your body into total disruption and total disarray. And it couldn't bring itself back out of it then. It was already primed and preloaded, and
Oh,
it couldn't
wow.
repair itself, couldn't bring itself back out of that nervous system response. And so then it became a self-perpetuating thing. And they talk about set points. What does the body believe or mind believe
Hmm.
is an appropriate set point for my sympathetic fight or flight?
Hmm.
Right? If I've lived a pretty comfortable life and never been in danger, never really been sick, I've been just hunky dory all my life, um, then I probably have a pretty low set point of my fight or flight response. But let's take that person that was abused as a child and was raised in some sort of abusive relationships or
Hmm.
abusive home. That little body's brain live daily in this elevated sympathetic fight or flight response. Now, when they reached adulthood, you sort of mean their priming or preload was just their childhood and how they were raised. And they will very quickly in their teens, early adulthoods, recognize they have severe anxieties, severe depressions. They'll develop diabetes. Um, they'll start developing lupus, autoimmune diseases,
Hmm.
fibromyalgias, chronic fatigues, one thing then another. And I think those things start stacking. Now it's my belief that we start stacking those autoimmune diseases as time goes by. It started out when I was a teenager, just being anxious, having some headaches and a little depression. And by the time I'm 45, I've got lupus, fibromyalgia, diabetes, you know, um, insomnias, yada, 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 and, multiple autoimmune diseases.
So I didn't realize that this I can't really say it correctly. You might have to the stellate ganglion. Did I kind of get it?
Stellate, stellate.
Stellate,
So stellate,
stellate.
I don't know why there's three of these ganglion in your neck. You have one really high, one middle, and one low. The lower one gained its own name called a stellate, as in like the stella, a
Yeah.
stellate of a star. And
Okay.
so under ultrasound, it has different tentacles coming off of it, kind of looks like a star. And so they call it the stellate ganglion, a cluster of nerves coming together. But you have a superior ganglion, a middle ganglion, and then the stellate ganglion. So
And so when I guess this whole thing is called stellate ganglion block. Is that what I did? Okay. So when you do that, I didn't realize that it could help with so an array of so many things, not even just long COVID. Like you're talking about autoimmune diseases. Like I
yes,
feel
ma'am.
like that is so common right now in people. They're suffering from something, and a lot of them they don't have ways to get relief other than taking a lot of medicine or and so that's why I think this is so great for me. I didn't have to be on a medicine forever. I got the shot, I call it the shot. So you just need to know when I talk about it, I'm like this miracle working shot, and it's really two of them, but
Yeah, yeah.
but I also like, just full disclosure, I came back to you 2 years later after I got COVID for the third time.
Mm,
And I was like, I'm not waiting this time. We're going ahead and knocking this out. And I just got that done about a month ago. And
mm,
life changing for me. I tell you, I was so excited to get back there and do this and reset everything, because the people that are around me, they notice a difference in the way, I mean, how I can focus, just the conversations that they're having with me, just all kinds of, I have more energy. It's just like, it's a whole reset for my whole body. That's my experience with it. And like I said, the first time I went, I was just going for taste and smell. If I just wanted to eat, that's all I wanted to do. You know, everybody that saw me was like, you need to eat a cheeseburger. I'm like, I would love to eat a cheeseburger. I'd love to eat 10 cheeseburgers. But, you know, at the time it was I was desperate. And so coming to you, like, it may have seemed crazy to people, but I'm going to be honest, I was desperate and just looking for any kind of relief. And this seemed to work for some people. So I went, and it was, I can't say enough good things about it, because for me, I wasn't expecting anything else to happen other than just getting my taste and smell back. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but like, it just was like the anxiety and depression just went right out of my body, out of my toes. And I could not believe it. It was crazy. And then my mom was with me, and she said, you know, just talking to me the night before I got the shot and right after getting the shot, I was two totally different people.
mhm.
That's crazy. That's wild. And I feel like there's not enough people talking about this as a way to fix some of those things, because there are still some people suffering from no taste and smell, or a bad taste and smell, or neuropathy, or having you know, stomach issues. I know a lot of people are having gut issues, heart issues. And I just
Fatigue,
think this is,
brain fog,
yeah, yeah, brain fog's a big one,
big one.
and not the ability to not focus, and just all the things, it's a lot. So on this, because you don't just like willy-nilly just put a needle in my neck and, you know, I'm on my way. Like, there's a proper procedure to it. But there's just not a lot of people doing this procedure. And I'm thankful that you were willing to go out on a limb and do that. I do want to talk a little bit about the procedure, so you can tell them what it's actually,
Mhm.
what they can expect from it, and what, you know, just kind of what it is. Because every time I'm like, yeah, I just got a shot in my neck, they're like, oh. But it wasn't bad. But you have a whole procedure.
The stellate ganglion block
Hmm.
is essentially we're putting local anesthetic on a nerve. You know,
Yeah.
local anesthetic stops nerve conduction. So if you were going to surgery and you needed a nerve block so
Hmm.
your shoulder didn't hurt afterwards, we would do an injection on the nerves that supply the shoulder. When that local anesthetic is metabolized by the body and removed from that nerve, the feeling to the shoulder comes back, or
Hmm.
leg, or wherever, right?
Hmm.
Maybe you got an epidural when you had a baby, you know,
Yeah.
when they take it out in a couple of hours, you're going to start feeling again. So
Yeah.
it's a different nerve than that. This sympathetic nerve is not a sensory nerve, and it's not a motor nerve. It's a sympathetic nerve. It's only sending, at this level of the neck, it's only sending information to my brain. It's only going up. There's
Yeah.
no bidirectional movement, as far as we know, and in the cervical sympathetic chain. So all I'm doing is putting local anesthetic on that sympathetic nerve. I'm going to very temporarily, for about 15, 20, 30 minutes, block that input to the brain, at least only on one side, right? We do the right side first, then we do the left side later. When we block that, we're blocking what we believe is the sympathetic, that fight or flight response.
Hmm.
Because that is your fight or flight response, because it's how the body protects itself, having that shut off really quickly and densely is sort of, we believe, alarming to the central nervous system, the brain, and it must reboot and reload that system and get it functioning again. And we think that's where some sort of a reset of the body occurs within that autonomic. It breaks the cycle
Hmm.
and it resets that system back to factory settings. So that's why when you got the block, the injection, and you had a droopy eye and some of the symptoms, the physical
Yeah.
symptoms of having that sympathetic block, those symptoms were gone in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because the local anesthetic was being removed from the nerve. The nerve was functioning again. The nerve was working again. But you are a year, months, weeks, months, sometimes permanent. Your symptoms are gone, which is the evidence that we're saying that there's a reset of your autonomic system occurring. Otherwise, your symptoms would, your smell and taste would have went right back. Your anxiety
Mhm.
would have went right back. This is not like blocking a sensory nerve to my shoulder or to my leg, blocking pain.
Yeah.
We did block your sympathetic nerve, but the big deal was that apparently your brain can reset that autonomic system and bring it back into homeostasis, into better
Hmm.
balance, and then all our symptoms go away. It has not been given its due, Allison, and the
It
reason
had not.
yeah.
And I don't understand that at all. It blows my mind that, if people are suffering and this is a way to fix it, like, I don't know.
I know where I know for you it was long COVID, and forgive me if I'll branch it out. Yes, there are a
No.
lot of people, millions of people still suffering from long COVID, and they may not have smell and taste issues. Theirs may be brain fog or
Right.
dizziness with standing or
Hmm.
gut issues or not sweating, temperature intolerance. I can't stand hot, can't stand colds. But I promise you, there are hundreds of millions of others that are suffering from autoimmune. And I
Oh,
am
there,
totally,
I know so many people. Yeah.
I, in this, I'll probably get, totally ripped by a lot of physicians out there. I am totally convinced myself, this is just the opinion of
Hmm.
David, okay,
Yep.
is that the root cause of our autoimmune disease is this imbalance of the sympathetic system. And my evidence of that, okay, the reason I stand on that statement, and I'll back that up, okay, is the thousands of patients we've treated. They came to us for long COVID for smell and taste,
Mhm.
but they had this history of 20 years of
Yep.
rheumatoid arthritis
Yeah.
or or chronic fatigue or
Yeah.
fibromyalgia or Crohn's or
Hmm.
ulcerative colitis or diabetic neuropathies, all of these autoimmune diseases that I've been suffering from for all my life. And I was doing okay on all the drugs. I was kind of getting by.
Yeah.
But then when I got COVID, it just cratered me. I couldn't function
Hmm.
anymore. We do the injection thinking in those early years that we were just treating their smell and taste and treating COVID. And we talk to
Hmm.
them a week later, 2 weeks later, and they'd go, my gut is done. I don't have diarrhea. I don't have constipation. My neuropathy in my feet are gone. My brain fog's gone. My anxiety, depression is gone. The pain in my body is gone. Fibromyalgia. I have energy. I wake up. I'm ready to go. I, we
And
saw the symptoms of all of those autoimmune diseases
mhm.
disappear just as fast and just as quickly as the smell and taste issues. Now you're having to dig through decades of literature talking about the autonomic system and this immune response, and it's been out there. It's been there. I don't know what to say. It's
Yeah. But I think it's great what you're doing, and I think that's why I wanted to highlight it because a lot of people, especially after I went to Texas, because you're in Bryan, Texas, or College Station. Which one do I say? I don't know.
there one city,
Okay,
like
I wasn't sure. I was like,
one
but
right.
but there's so many people after I went to Texas that were like, "What did you do? Like, tell me all about it." But then there are just so many people in my community right here in Camden County that have been suffering with long COVID things. People I didn't even know, I got to know through this experience. And then I know so many people here that are suffering with autoimmune. So that it's just, I think it's great. I think it's wonderful that you were willing to think outside the box and try something because for me it literally changed my life. And I didn't go out there for that. I just wanted my taste and smell back. But it helped so much that I didn't even realize was was happening because I was just, I mean, honestly, I just wanted to eat. Like, and I kept thinking that if I could just eat, like all the rest of it would go away. I kind of felt like it was, but when I got COVID this last time, I realized that how quick the anxiety like jumped on me so fast that I was like, and that's why I came back out. I wanted to make sure that we just zap that, and I've been great. I do follow it up with the Wim Hof breathing and the cold showers. But yeah, it's been amazing for me. I just really appreciate you taking the time to talk about it today. Was there anything else that you wanted to cover in this?
Well, just to tell people, the injection itself is just lidocaine.
Yeah. Oh,
It's,
yeah. That's something.
yeah,
That's.
it's just lidocaine.
I
It's
hate.
so, yeah,
I hate to say that what you're doing is the holistic approach because I guess that's probably not completely, but I feel like as holistic as you can get without having to keep putting medicine in your body every single day, or
yeah.
I don't know.
If you think about what the common treatment of our autoimmune or long COVID,
Hmm.
okay, if you
Yeah.
go treat it, ask for your doctor to help you with your symptoms of long COVID or autoimmune. I just call it overactivated sympathetic. So it can be any of those
Thing. Yeah.
names, okay, whatever name you want to give it. But they're giving you medications, and they are attempting to reduce your symptoms, right?
Absolutely.
If you're anxious, we're going to give you an anti-anxiety med,
Hmm.
and it probably will reduce your anxieties and help you function better through the day. If you're depressed, we'll give you an
Hmm.
antidepressant, right? If you're hypertensive, we'll give you an
Hmm.
antihypertensive drug, right?
Yeah.
If
All the
you're
things.
your
Yeah.
legs are burning from neuropathy, we'll give you, gabapentin or Lyrica to try to stop the burning of your legs. All of these things are geared at symptom suppression.
Yeah.
Okay, I really will get stuck on that. Okay, what I'm trying to do is not symptom suppression.
Right.
I'm trying to get to the master switch that's the cause of all of those symptoms and trying to reverse that and let your body fix itself.
Yeah.
And we found that it works better than all of those drugs, right? If you stop taking those drugs, your symptoms come immediately back, right?
Yeah.
Nothing really changed. You're suppressing symptoms, but you're not really fixing anything.
Hmm.
What we found with this sympathetic block is that we're allowing the body to have a chance to reset itself and get back into a better place, and all your symptoms go away. It's not just brain fog, it's not just smell and taste, it's not just gut. It's everything that's controlled through the autonomic system will function better and
Hmm.
work better. It does border on a miracle for some people. Okay, it's really crazy. And
It for me it was.
yeah,
But I had gone a year the first time, like trying to, because everybody kept saying it'll come back, just give it a month, and then it was like give it 3 months, and then it was give it a year, and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I was, I weighed 103 pounds, and it was terrible. And something I wanted to say too. So I think you said thousands earlier, of these. Now, are you seeing a high success rate in everybody?
we are. I think my wife ran some numbers last week, a report. I think I'm around 3,600 sympathetic nerve blocks. So not quite 4,000 yet,
Yeah.
but a little over
Wow.
100. First thing I think that's important about that is we've never had a complication. Not
Yeah.
one complication. So
Mhm.
when we do it with ultrasound guidance,
Mhm.
we're doing it with lidocaine. Um, and someone that's done a lot of them, I think you're going to recognize that your risk of that injection is really, really small.
Yes.
It would be rare that you would have some sort of complication. So the success of it. We were able to publish with the help of Texas Christian University in Fort Worth. We
Okay.
were able to publish the first large number retrospective study on this. So
Really?
we tracked 300 people for a year after
Mhm.
a sympathetic block. We were particularly just looking at their smell and taste at that time.
Mhm.
And I think 195 completed all the follow up after a year. And it was, it's been 2 years ago, 2.5 years
That's
ago.
okay.
It's my own study, and I forgot to.
Yeah.
It was, 80, it was like 86% successful.
I mean,
Okay.
and it's true. And I do want to say, like, I have no idea if it'll be successful for everybody, but this is my personal experience. So, that's what I wanted to speak on is the fact that I personally went through this not once. I also did it twice, and I have great things to say, and I like to. I send people out there. I have sent a lot of people to you. I'm
Yeah.
like, so because I'm a believer in it, and because of what happened for me. And I appreciate you doing this and caring enough about people because you take time with us, like your patience and your staff. I need to say this. I love your staff. They are amazing.
They're
Uh,
awesome, aren't they?
Listen, when I call, like Jackie's like, yes, okay, what are we trying to do? I know you're in Georgia. So, I
Yeah.
mean, it's been amazing. And when we were there, just, they're so kind, so courteous and so helpful. So, um,
Thank you.
and y'all are all compassionate. Y'all all seem to know what we're going through when we get to you. So,
Appreciate
that's
it.
important.
Yeah, I think that if we can get the word out and help people understand what's happening, it
Absolutely.
physiology. It's
Yes.
not voodoo. It's not snake oil. I mean, I think if you just heard me talking and going, I can fix everything from hell, my wife's hot flashes from menopause went away with one.
Listen, do
Every
not tell
girl,
don't
every
tell me
girl,
that
I
because
promise
I'm
you,
entering that phase of my life. And
every girl in my office has had their menstrual cycle regulated to 5 days.
yeah,
Stops. If you heard me just sit here and spouse off the little miracles that occur every day, everything from fibromyalgia, 55 years, Allison, disabilities, people with chronic fatigue,
hmm,
uh, that that was 35 years where they slept 18 hours a day because
wow,
they couldn't get out of bed, reversed in literally minutes. It is it
it's
and I
remarkable.
mean it. You would if you just listened to me, you would go, he's totally full of it. He's totally full of crap. There's no way that could work like that. He's just trying to get money out of people or
Well,
something.
I'm here to say that we didn't know each other before this. Like I've seen you twice in my life, and that was the two times that I went out there to get this procedure done. And I asked you to come on this podcast because I literally just wanted people to know that there is something out there if they're looking for relief from autoimmune, from long COVID symptoms, from an array of things. And I just wanted them to know that you actually exist and you're there to help, and that there is something
Thank
that
you.
people can try.
There's there's a reason why it's happening to people. If they can recognize it and they can find somebody in their area that could get a stellate ganglion block, I really encourage
Hmm.
them to look into it, to try it, um, read more, investigate. The literature's out there. It's been out there for literally decades. So
Yeah.
if we'll start, then that becomes another longer question of why has it been used more? It's been around for 100 years. Why are we not using it more?
I mean, I have my suspicions, but I'm not going to get into it on this podcast.
Right.
So,
There we-
but, um, well, I think we've covered most of it. I just really appreciate you taking the time to be with me today, and talk about this and let people know. Can you give people the phone number there in case they want to call and ask any more questions or set up an appointment or any of that?
So Republic Pain Specialist, 979 So
Awesome.
979-703-1426 is the office. Um, we've got a website, republicpainsp.com,
Okay.
republicpainspecialist.com. And there's a lot of information on the
Hmm.
stellate ganglion block there. Obviously, a lot of questions, a lot of people have called. We've had people from all over the world come. I think
That's what I was. That's something else I was going to say. Your map in there of where people have come from. I'm like, yes. I mean, they've come from everywhere.
China, Russia,
Yeah.
South
So,
Africa, Finland. Yeah, they come from all over the world. The internet is impressive, and that's one of the reasons I welcome the opportunity to kind of talk about the stellate, is because who knows who will see this podcast,
yeah.
who will share it and send it around the world,
Hmm.
and maybe we can get other people around the world to start using it more often,
Yeah.
recognizing. what it's used for and what the utility of it can be. Something so safe
Yeah.
that's been around 100 years, Allison, that has such potential.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know. I agree. I totally agree. I'm not trying to tell people that it's gonna cure everything and you're gonna
Mhm.
be 100%. I'm not promoting that. But if we can reduce your symptoms by 50%,
It's
and
worth
all
it.
the drugs you've taken for 20 or 30 years have not really done that,
Mhm.
um, because of the risk profile and the potential benefits, why would we not try this? Okay. And if people will look at it simply as that, just a risk benefit ratio, the risks are small, the benefits might be truly life changing and miracles. Um, okay, it's 7 cc's of lidocaine,
Yeah.
and maybe it doesn't work, but it might change your life too. So
Yes. Well, thank you so much, David. I really appreciate you being here and doing this with me. So thank you so much. And please tell your staff I said hello.
I will. I
All
will. Thank
right.
you, Allison. Good luck.
All
Okay.
right. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. You've caught the bonus episode of the Get in Your Business podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.